Good morning, Eastern Oregon. Welcome to this December 11th version of AM Live on EOA. We're your connection to Eastern Oregon, and we are glad that you are here with us. If you want to find our content, you can go to our link tree at EOA.network. EOA.network, that takes you to all the places where you can find the locations of our Facebook, our Roku channel, our website, our Instagram, all of that stuff. So glad you're here. Here in just a little bit, we are going to have Union County Commissioner Jake Seavert will be with us to talk about all things county. So, how are you, man?
Good morning. Yeah.
Doing all right?
Opening year. It's only been 2 years.
Yeah,
and then you're going to be like, you're going to, oh, maybe we should change this.
Yeah, it's the one thing I've been wanting to change our byline, but I always forget until the moment that I'm getting ready to do it, and then yeah.
Hey, you're nailing it.
Yeah,
nailing it.
Yeah, it's the one thing that does run a little bit on automatic, but yeah.
Well, that's the whole point. You know, the whole point isn't to be automatic, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's at least for me. Like when I'm doing sports interviews, like I don't want it to be like machine-like. You know what I mean? Like I want it to just be.
I'll read it
natural.
machine-like sometime.
Yeah.
Good morning, Eastern Oregon. Welcome to this. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you read something? No, I didn't think so.
Yeah.
The only time I ever read anything is the sports report, just because there's so much information. Like,
yeah.
I could do it. I mean, I probably could, but I don't want to leave something out. You know what I mean? And there's numbers, and it's just there's a lot to.
Well, and in this day and age, with everybody wanting content shorter and to get through it,
got to jam it in there.
Yeah,
quick.
cutting out the ums and ahs, and
at least try to.
Or at least try to.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It is. All right, hey, you want to do sports?
Let's do it.
All right.
AM Sports Report brought to you by Hobby Habit. Save more now than ever on select BL-2S models of Traxxas RC cars. You get up to $50 off, plus you'll get a free battery and charger bundle included at checkout. That's over $110 in total value. They got 12 different Traxxas BL2 models down there at Hobby Habit. And, man, they're awesome. I mean, I guess you just have to experience, or you can just trust me, that they're really awesome. I mean, they go like 60, 65 miles an hour, and they're a lot of fun. Hobby Habit, 411 First Street in LeGrand, just for the fun of it. LHS Girls Wrestling won the Oregon Trail Championships last night in Echo. They had 7 champions and 11 placers overall. The champions are at 105, Ellie Mae. At 110, Carly Radke. At 115, Riley Lease. At 125, Avery Robinson. At 135, Emmeline Livingston. At 145, Kaylin Smith. And at 190, Maddie Armstrong. And then the placer was at 105, and it was second place for Ella Ristine. And then at 130, Blake Zimmerman got third place. 140, Taylor Nairn got second place. And at 145, Chloe Knight got second place. All those pictures are courtesy of Amanda May. Thank you, Amanda, for sending those in to me. And then the team picture is Dory Armstrong. The LHS boys went to Echo as well for the Oregon Trail Championships. They didn't take a very big team, and they didn't take very many varsity guys, but they ended up in third place. They had 4 champions and 5 placers overall. The champions were at 106, Jarek Leonard. At 144, Brendan Pinther. At 157, Bryler Anderson. And at 165, Caden McKinley. The lone placer for the Tigers was at 132, and it was third place for Nolan Rogers. Those pictures are credit Arlie Anderson. Thank you, Arlie, for the pictures. And I'm going to say this right now, like if you have pictures that you know of a varsity event and at LeGrand, I mean, it doesn't even have to be at LeGrand. It could be anywhere in the valley. It could be Baker for all I care. But if it's a varsity event and you take pictures and you want them, posted, just send them to me. I'll take them from anybody. I'll post 100 pictures if I get 100 pictures of a wrestling event. So you can send them to Kyle@eoalive.tv, or you can go in the group that I created for this It's Eastern Oregon Sports and News. It's right on Facebook, and you can post them right there. LHS boys basketball team lost on Monday night to Skyview, 78-53. That's an Idaho team. They were pretty tough. The boys basketball team has gotten better. There's a couple new kids that moved into town, brothers that have strengthened this team up, and I look for them to make a run at winning the GOL this year. The girls basketball team lost on the road 2 nights ago in Vail, 59-41. Both teams are in Malala today to take on the Indians, with the girls set to tip at 4, while the boys will go at 5:30. EOU volleyball ended their season on Monday night in the semis of the national tournament in Sioux City, Iowa. Kiera Vaughn and Brooke Womack were both named to the all-tournament team, which is no shock. I mean, they are both first-team all-conference players. They're both fantastic hitters, and we get them back next year. That's the reason. I was talking with Jake before the show this morning, and it was like, I thought this was the year. And, you know, it just wasn't meant to be. We got another one coming up next year, and we'll strap them on and give it another go. The undefeated EOU women's basketball team is off this weekend, while the men, who are 6-3 and 2-0 in the CCC, travel to Salem tomorrow to take on Corbin. That game tips off at 5. It's a weird weekend. The women are off, and the men only have one game in Salem. So usually they travel with a travel partner, which our travel partner is College of Idaho, and they go and they play a game on Friday and a game on Saturday. So like if you go to Corbin to play in Salem to play Corbin, you would play Bushnell the next day, and then you'd flop with your travel partner. And for some reason, they just have this game on the schedule, and they don't have a game Saturday, so it's just an over and back for the Mounties. EOU men's wrestling is in Montana this weekend for a duel versus Providence in Great Falls on Saturday, and a duel against Montana State Northern in Havre on Sunday. The women are at the TVCC duels in Ontario on Saturday. AM Sports Report brought to you by Hobby Habit. Get in there to check out this massive deal that Joe's got going on these Traxxas BL-2Ss. It's a deal that you can't pass up, especially with Christmas right around the corner. You won't be disappointed. Hobby Habit, just for the fun of it.
Cool. All right, let's take a look outside, Benny. And it's not wet this morning.
Not quite as crummy as it was yesterday.
Yeah, but it certainly, we're like right between fall and winter. But all the leaves are gone. Looks a little dismal. Man, gorgeous sunset last night. You know, it's funny, when Tanya showed up yesterday, she came back and she says, "Did you see the sunset?" And I ran outside and took a picture and immediately posted it to Facebook. And when I counted last night, the post said, "Right now in LeGrand, send me your, post your one." And I think there were 60 different pictures of sunsets. Be sure and check that out. I mean, it was last night's sunset was just amazing. So
it was very pretty.
Yeah, but it was so funny because I'd have never seen it unless Tanya had mentioned something.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, you didn't?
No.
Yeah.
Well, I saw the pictures.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I didn't see the actual.
No, but hey, thank you guys for posting and contributing. That's always fun when we can see that. And there were people posted from all over the valley. So anyhow. All right, let's look at that weather graphic real quick, Bennett. I kind of skipped ahead. 53 today, 40 tonight. And it's kind of, looks like maybe it's going to be dry. And then a little bit more moisture as we get toward the end of the weekend. So, yeah, here we are. Just a reminder of things. So the shop with a cop event is today. We'll do a little bit of stream of that right at the beginning of that. That's about 10:45 or 11 o'clock when that happens. Really cool event. We've talked about it quite a bit, where the police officers, all of the cops in the area, highway, OHP, Sheriff's Department, LeGrand Police Department, all kind of adopt a kid for a shopping time excursion where they can buy gifts for their parents. and family members. That'll be happening today. You'll see a little bit of a stream there for that. And then on Sunday night, we are streaming the Community Messiah Choir and Orchestra group presenting the Messiah. So that'll be happening on Sunday night. So watch for those streams. So anyhow, we're going to take a break, and we will be right back with Union County Commissioner Jake Seavert. All right, we're back. Union County Commissioner Jake Seavert. How many months are you into this now? 9,
11
10?
months.
11? Yeah. Awesome.
11 months, yep.
Almost a quarter of the way.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're getting your feet under you a little bit?
Yeah, it's come together pretty well.
Yeah.
Again, I owe it all to that county college deal
Right.
that Association of Oregon Counties puts on. I mean, it's kind of like a garden hose once a month for 3 days. You pick a topic that 3 days and settle in, and public health, mental health. I mean, they really go through everything that the county is mandated to do, and
Yeah.
it's a lot. I mean, it darn sure gives you a jump start shortens the learning curve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Along the way, are there any times when you're like, and it's not just Union County, but counties in general, like government, because this is kind of your first dip into government, right? I mean, just in general, you know?
Yeah.
And, I mean, are there times when it's like, man, this is dysfunctional. I wonder if we can tune this a little bit to make, I mean, are there any things that you see that you wish you could tinker with a little bit?
No.
No.
I'm not quite up to that speed.
Yeah.
I'm sure there is. Yeah, but no, I think as far as our local government goes for the county, I mean, I think we're pretty good. And I say this quite often. When you get to looking around at other counties in the state, and you get back to your home county here, and you see how we operate, that we're not in any budget crisis, and I mean, we could always use more money for sure
Right.
to spend. We do well with what we have, and it's pretty well functioning.
Yeah. So the counties that do get they get twisted up and don't have enough money. Do you have enough experience to know how they got that way? I mean, in other words, when you're looking at the difference between the blessing, are there some lessons that you're able to extract from that?
It's just the management of your funds and budget, and we're pretty fortunate to have Shelley Burgess kind of oversee that, and we're fortunate with all the department heads that put their budgets together to take to Shelley. I think you can get caught in some overspending in the department level, and then it just kind of takes us all by surprise.
Yeah.
But nothing in particular, not one certain county that I can think of that's really in a big crisis. But I guess specifically I was talking more just kind of along the lines of the function of the government. I don't know if anyone's aware of what's going on in Lincoln County. There's just, it's a mess. Like, they had one commissioner recalled. So they appointed another commissioner into that position that was the opponent in the election of that position. And then now that position is coming up, and another commissioner who's in office filed for that position. I mean, it's just the turmoil, you know, and I look at that and I'm like, how can these, how can they get anything accomplished?
So
when
an
they're fighting amongst
established
themselves?
commissioner, rather than refiling for his own position, is running in the other position.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
his position isn't up yet. And, it, you know, like I say, how can you function that way? How can you get anything done when there's so much turmoil? And
Right.
we're fortunate, I think, you know, we just don't have that animosity here
Well,
in Union County.
Well, and you might not, you know, just the details that you've told me. It's like, I don't need to know what's going on. I just know that it's not going well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know. And I mean, and there are municipalities not too far from us that have had some of those same type of inner turmoil struggles. And it's like, again, I don't know for sure what's going on, but you know, you're right. Animosity is the exact word. It's like when somebody, yeah, you can read the tea leaves pretty easily.
Yeah, you know, Morrow County went through a stretch there,
Yeah.
you know, a couple of years ago. Josephine County, one of the newly elected commissioners that I went and attended that county college with, he's being recalled, and it's actually two of them are being recalled. The one resigned the other day, and you just don't know the specific details, but you know, when you get into county governments and there's a bunch of recalls going on, and it kind of makes you wonder what's really going on, and that's why it's good for us to be on your show to show that transparency. You know, we're open to all of our office doors are open, and you know, we take emails and we try and be as transparent as we can in operating the county.
Well, thank you. And to toot our own horn a little bit, this is the one place that people get to come and not be edited or not be, I mean, you know, it's a long form content, so you can tell the whole story. You know, people can ask you questions and you know, so yeah.
And it's darn sure not scripted. no teleprompters here.
Yeah.
Get out of bed and
That's
crank
for
it
sure.
up.
I know, that's what I was thinking this morning. Is, I wonder what we're going to talk about.
Yeah. Well, and I was
better
too.
think of something.
I was too. You know, you came in and we have a routine as we're getting ready for the show, and we didn't say one word about what we were going to talk about.
Nope.
You know, I mean, you and Kyle talked about sports, and we talked about Thanksgiving, and and so because that's what people hunger for, though. People really hunger for a real conversation. You know, a lot of times they're not patient enough to listen, but still, it's, you know. So it's funny. Kyle and I were talking, and I mean, and part of the chaos that comes from a commissioner being called, or part of that is caused because in a lot of counties there's only 3 of them, and so, and you know, most of the time, I would imagine that comes down to, I don't know why that is. That's the structure that's been there for a while, but you know, part of it is economics because you have the expenses of 3 commissioners. Whether you pay them a salary or not, you're paying for travel and all of that stuff. But so what happens in our county if a commissioner resigned in the middle of his term, and then do you know how that's resolved? And
Yeah, and Wallowa County kind of went through that process with the passing of Commissioner Roberts this winter, or this spring, or summer actually. Geez. But you know, through her illness, I believe you can appoint someone to finish out that term. You can appoint someone and then hold a special election. So that's what they're in the process of doing. So they appointed a past commissioner, Commissioner Mike Hayward, to kind of fill that void until they can get into a primary election next May, I believe. And then, or they could have went until her next term was up, and with just the 2 of them. Mm-hmm. But that would have made things pretty difficult with quorums and activity on decisions. So, but we could do the same here. You know, if one of us resigned or whatever, we we could take that opportunity and appoint someone into that position.
Right.
For the whole rest of the term?
I believe that could be an option, yes. Depending on how
That doesn't make sense to me, because then you would think, like, if you got the wrong people in there, they could bully somebody out and then appoint somebody that they'd want, and that could be 4 years.
Yeah.
Or 3.5 years. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, I wonder about that. Like,
Yeah, well, it's similar to what Lincoln County's going through right now, I mean, that one commissioner that was recalled, she was actually in that position for about 3 years, and then was recalled, and so now her original term is up, and so that appointed is filing to run for that position. So yeah, it's I think there's some options there to handle that.
But because of the small number of commissioners, it just makes it more complicated, makes it more difficult. Yeah, because certainly with a city council, I think the city council, our local council, has 7, and it dilutes power and influence, makes pushing decisions forward a little more difficult, so on and so forth. So, well, tell me what's going on in your commissioner world. Are there some things that you've been thinking about and want to talk to us about?
Well, I don't know if I told you about the results of my trades career fair that I held in
think so.
October.
Yeah.
I think the timing was a little, I didn't even mention it in our September meeting, but I held that event. I was thankful for the committee that I had putting that on.
Now tell us what the event was first. Yeah.
So it's
Remind us.
Career Trades Fair.
Okay.
And it was a career fair solely based on the trades for all juniors and seniors in the county of high school. I just feel like there's a portion of the population that college is not for them. We kind of went through that with my oldest, and we'll probably go through that with my next one. They just not wanting to do college. So he went to WyoTech. So we just need to open up that pathways to show these kids what's available out there for them if they don't want to go to college. Jobs in welding, mechanics, electrical, plumbers, heating and cooling, all sorts of avenues that they could be interested in. Bring back to the community a family wage job. And because we heard that, at least I did when I was campaigning, we need more jobs. We need to create more jobs. And initially, when I heard that, I was thinking college. We need more professional type positions. But again, going through that process with my oldest son made me realize there's a great opportunity. That was a big spark of it. Number 2 was trying to hire an electrician or plumber to come to the house for a small repair job was extremely difficult because they're super busy. It just seems like there's not enough of them. And then again, it brings opportunities for these kids to go learn a trade and go. We held that event at the Stock Show Grounds in Union on October 15th. We had about 150 to 170 kids from every school in Union County, and every school we invited schools in Wallowa County to participate. It was a great turnout with kids. We had about 23 vendors. I call them vendors, but that could have been anyone from a community college with these types of programs or actual electrical companies. I think we had ODOT there. We had OTEC there with their live wire trailer demonstration. We had Blue Mountain Community College showing off their drone program. We had Advanced Drone out of Pendleton that gave a drone that was probably as big as your 2 tables put together.
One of those spray drones?
Yeah. And turns out that's kind of a small one. And it could,
They're cool, though.
300 gallons, I think is what, or no, it was a 300-pound capacity, I think. But, and that one I think really stuck a lot with the kids because of all the gaming that goes on right now.
Right.
So eye and
Put a
hand
controller in
coordination.
your
Right.
hand.
Yeah, look at RC cars at Hobby Habit. I'll throw a plug in for it. You know what I mean? Just that control. I even have a drone. They're great.
Even in Gibb up at the college, he uses an Xbox controller to run his program and his cameras for a live stream.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
there's a lot of opportunity to get those kids interested in careers like that. On the drone side of the thing, one of the questions asked was, well, how old do you have to be, become certified or whatever it is, licensed? 16.
Wow.
I was like, holy cow, there's an opportunity for a kid in high school to work for that progress and
Right.
become an experienced drone operator by the time he graduates. And yeah, anyways, next year I think is going to be bigger and better. I'm looking to probably double the size of the vendors in place. The kids will probably grow a little bit as well. Hoping to have around 200 to 250 kids show up to do that. Be big enough, we'll split them in a morning and afternoon group depending on where the activity is. But yeah, it was a big success, and we had the best feedback ever from the people in attendance from vendor side, as well as school administration and the kids. It was great. There was a lot of engagement. So,
has anybody else been doing that in the area?
Baker has, I believe, put one on about every other year. And then I think Umatilla County puts one on every couple of years. But I felt like this is what Union County needs. You get more attendance from the kids locally if it's a local event.
Of course, yeah.
Instead of trying to, ship busloads of them to Pendleton or Hermiston or Baker. I just felt like something local. So there was a little bit of opportunity there, but nothing just directly focused on the trades.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, when you do that again, be sure to let us know, and we'll help you get the word out.
Will do. I think we're looking at moving it up to about the end of September next year, just because the weather was cold that day. It wasn't supposed to be so cold, but that was one of the feedback we had on the vendors. Try and get it a little earlier in the fall to get a little better weather. So yeah, I'll let you guys know. It'll be fun. It'll be
Todd Gorm says it was a great event.
Perfect. See, I've had people stop me, a month afterwards, and hey, that event was the greatest. We're coming back next year.
Well, and what a lot of people, the word is getting out slowly, but it's not just a reemphasis in trades that is, that has been coming for a while, and that is awesome. But what a lot of people don't know is that when people forecast the growing edge of our economy over the next 20 years, there's a massive shortage of trades in order, and so there's a lot of talk with AI comes these gigantic data farms, which the impact that they have. I really don't hope that we have any here. We don't really have the electrical infrastructure for them. One data farm, Les Penning. I heard him talk about one data farm will use more than all of the grid that we have on OTEC. But the point is, though, is that there's a huge demand to build those, and every one of those are super dependent upon trades, electricians, welders, plumbers. They all have HVAC cooling systems, which requires plumbers, and clearly there. So if a kid really wants to make over $100,000 a year, almost out of the gate, then, there's an opportunity for them to do that. So
I had a kid that I know. I asked him to come talk as a panelist during the lunch hour, just to kind of give these kids. He's a local kid. He graduated from. I think he graduated from Union or Cove. They swap back and forth a little bit, but now he's a fabricator for a local mechanical. They do a lot of work in mills and machining and putting together. Well, I think they were the ones that put the new dryer in at Chronospan. Big jobs, mill jobs, and so I had him come in and talk and visit about what. And one of the questions was asked, well, how much do you make a year? And I think he's out of high school 4 years now, and he jumped right out making, about $30 an hour. But you get lined up with an outfit like that, and they take these bigger jobs that will have to pay prevailing wages, and specifically, as either a pipe fitter or this or that, he was saying that there's a job coming up in Medford where he's going to be making, I don't know, it was like $90 an hour, an hour,
Yeah.
you know, as a fabricator.
Right.
So, and these young kids, if they wanted to travel a little bit and get some experience and go to lineman school and be an electrical lineman, get with these big electrical companies, you know, putting and replacing power lines, shoot, there's some good money to be made in those trades.
Right. And a lot of those, you know, a lot of kids want to own their own thing. They want to be their own boss. And there is absolutely that opportunity, you know. I mean, certainly there are benefits in working for, you know, other people. And Todd wanted me to be sure to mention carpenters too, which I didn't mean to forget them.
Yep.
Yeah, but there's an opportunity for you to be your own boss in that area. You know, you work for somebody, you get to know it. I mean, just look at the shortage of contractors that we have right here in the valley. It's hard to get anything built right now. You know,
Yeah, you see that with some ebb and flows too, the
Right.
economy and everything. But yeah, I mean, I went to high school with kids that went out and went to work with a local contractor. You know, did that, learned the trade, learned the skills, went and passed their exams to be licensed and bonded, and now they're out running their own
Right.
construction companies, building big houses and making really good, you know, wages. And yeah, there's a lot of opportunity there. To go on that too, you know, because trades has kind of been a buzzword nationally in the last year or two, because I think we're still falling back onto that boomer, that we're retiring, and there's just no one really coming in there to fill those positions. So, you know, next year I'm going to expand it out a little bit because I feel that they are trades, but I would like to attract a culinary school to come in for cooks. There's a big need for, you know, that, and then cosmetology, beauty, you know, hair cutting, estheticians. I can't pronounce it.
No, yeah, I know. You're right.
But you know, those are trades,
Right.
And those young girls get in those positions and make a good living and be their own boss.
Right.
And set their own schedules that'll work with a family schedule. So
Yeah.
we're going to expand and see it grow, and I think it'll be a bigger and better event.
There are beauticians out there that are working their tails off, and they're, you know, some of them are making over $100K a year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, and so.
Because it's $35 for a haircut.
Yeah. Yep.
A haircut that takes 15 minutes. That means that they're making $140 an hour.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not 140, but because you got to like sweep. Some of them don't even sweep though. You go in there and you just sit in the hair, cutting as many hair. I'd cut 10 hairs an hour if I was making $35 a haircut.
Yeah.
Work 3 hours and
Yeah, be done.
yeah. I mean, there's
Just live off the
opportunity.
tips alone. Put the rest in the bank because you got to tip them too.
Yep. No, that's good opportunity.
We still need that little rant.
There it is.
Yeah, we need a little
There it is.
blinking rant thing, Bennett, that comes along the Bob Kyle's rant. But yeah,
there you
no.
go.
But I think that you know, I mean, I agree with you, but at the same hand, with any business, you know, you've got that overhead, you've got the cost of the expense, and I mean, I talk about this all the time. If we didn't have a single customer, if we didn't open our doors, there still is a baseline expense in insurance and rent and utilities, and whether we do anything or not, is going to be paid, you know.
Yep.
And so, and I like being my own boss, and I have enjoyed that, but there are times where it's like, I wouldn't mind working for somebody and just somebody else carrying the whole load. So, but part of that, you know, part of the unique thing about living in America and being here, I mean, that's what we were settled on was, you know, those people, that's why people moved west, is because they wanted the opportunity to own their own land. They wanted the opportunity to make a living for themselves and so on and so forth. And so that's just in us. It is inside of us.
Yeah, to list a few more that I think we're missing out on is, and we had some CDL programs
Yeah.
at Baker BTI was there, and they offer that program. They've just broke ground with OTEC to build a new lineman school there, and they've also got a program where they'll get you the experience of operating heavy equipment, excavators and such. So we're short in a workforce right now with a little experience, and that's what we kind of need to build on and get more in that workforce.
Yeah.
Fill them positions. So.
Yeah, Todd says, I cut my own hair. Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, have you seen his hair? It's bald. That's an easy haircut right there.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So what else?
Been working on for the last several months about getting some resolution on elk damage in the valley through the winter months. We do have a couple local resident herds that never leave the valley, and it's one of those topics that I love to drive around the valley and see elk, and they do impact agriculture pretty steady.
So they're not even during the summer, they're not leaving. They're just,
No.
Yeah.
They go foothills, but
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in the middle of the valley. I think the first summer we were in that house, we drove out Peach and parked above the marsh on a corner where you could kind of look out through the marsh, because it was a straight shot to Union where the fireworks show was. And this was July 4th, and just at dusk, here come about 6 head of elk walking below us, one great big spike bull, and so there's elk in the marsh year round, and then kind of out in the middle of the valley along the banks of Catherine Creek and the Grand Ronde where it gets really shrubbery. There's just
even
enough
out
habitat.
off of Hunter, like almost to the Grange, the right side of Hunter, all that floodland out there, they hang out there in the summer too, all the time.
Yeah, and that's a big focus too. Is there was a small herd that would shack up in a cornfield during the day, and then venture out at dusk this summer, and then hit some alfalfa fields and search for some water.
If you were an elk? If you're gonna give me the good stuff, I'm gonna take it.
Yeah. I mean, crops in this valley a little bit to kind of probably not help the problem or the issue, such as bringing in some feed corn and whatnot, but and people can point fingers to predators, the pressure of predators that surround this valley, all faucets, not just wolves.
100%.
The cougar population is double management objective.
It's a trickle down effect too when it comes to predators, for sure.
And bears, during their fawning and calving, really make an impact. So I always tell people it's not just one thing that we can change that's going to make a direct big impact to keep these elk out of the valley. It's a several, and I've mentioned a few, and then loss of habitat.
Yeah.
What's really happened on our public lands is we've been burdened with administration of trying to get some land managed, active management of logging, because now we go into some of these spots and there's such a dense canopy cover that there's no forage growing underneath it. So the loss of habitat has really impacted these elk hanging out and coming out to the fringe of
What
the
are
valley.
the numbers like elk-wise? Like, do we have a good population, or is it dropping, or is it raising? You know what I mean? Like for
It depends where you are, Kyle. And that's some of the solutions that we come up with we were working on the elk on the, it'd be the east side of the valley from Cove to Imbler. ODF&W made some changes due to our recommendations. This next year, you'll be able to hunt. They had a 30-day muzzleloader hunt for cow elk in the Catherine Creek unit. They've expanded that to amount of tags and the time. And that they had a South Catherine Creek cow elk hunt, late cow elk hunt. They have went now and opened up the whole unit back again for cow elk hunting and doubled the number of tags. They were able to do so is because that unit, they're at or above MO, management numbers, or management objective. We come over to Mount Emily, and they're at 48% of management objective.
Wow.
For the unit.
That big of a difference, huh?
And we see that because loss of habitat, predators, all them elk are hanging out on the face of Mount Emily. and then that's what brings them down. So that's why we see that impact. So their management tools for Mount Emily are really reduced because they're not at management objective numbers.
Gotcha.
So I asked, so can't we add a late season muzzleloader hunt with just like 10 or 20 tags? They're like, no, we can't take that to the commission, get approval, are so low. So that's the herd that we're really going to try and figure out some options there. You know, there's talk that they do come down in late summer searching for water off that face of the valley. So we've suggested bringing in maybe some grant money to help landowners on the fringe maybe install some sort of watering projects to kind of try and hold them elk up higher.
So going back, so for people who might not understand, why is elk coming down into the valley during the summer a bad thing?
I mean, they're sitting and foraging on some high dollar crops typically.
Okay.
You know, there was some camelina grown throughout the valley this year. If you went on the crop tour, you'd have learned about that. They can take that product, get about 1,500 pounds of this high dollar product, ship it to California, they crush it and make biofuel. Yeah. And I think with the pounds, if my math was right, I want to say it was about 30 gallons of diesel every acre. So you got some high value crops. And then just even on a year like this year where there was really no one commodity doing really well.
Right.
You know, if you got wheat out there and it's at $5, but you need $7 to break even, and then you've got elk trampling and eating it in, and impacting the harvest by 30%.
Right.
You know, or their expenses are high. You know, you just so across the board, every ag commodity in this valley was impacted by elk this year.
Well, and their natural progression is to only come down to the valley in winter when they're looking for something more mild. There's too much snow. Yeah, I mean, and so then there's a disruption in how they naturally respond. Yeah.
Just they need three things: food, shelter, and security.
Yeah. And
when they can find that on the fringe of the valley floor,
yeah,
that's where they're going to hang out.
Yeah, if it's safer down here than it is up there,
yeah,
I mean, that makes sense. Are people so both those units, like, are the damage control tags about the same? You know what I mean? Like, are people accessing that and using the ability to pull a damage control tag to take some burden off of their property?
Yeah, definitely. There's that. That was a change that they made a few years ago, was to have that damage control tag over the counter.
Right.
But there was specific lines on that. So Lower Cove Road that turns into Gray's Corner, that was your line. Hunter Road and Mount Glen was your line. And then it didn't impact as much Pumpkin Ridge because there's some more agriculture up there. But some of the issue with that one there is we've kind of witnessed this year, look how mild our November was.
Yeah.
You know, 60-degree days in November, and we had some moisture. I didn't believe it, but when a biologist was saying, man, we've got so much green up right now, them elk are going to be 2 to 3 weeks, a little bit later coming into the valley than normal. I took a drive to Wallowa County the week after he said that, and I come around the big curve at Minam Grade to go down in. It looked like April. There was so much green in that canyon. It was amazing. Man.
Well, that holds them back, right?
It does, yeah. So, but the timing of that, when it ends the end of November, we typically don't really start to see big numbers of elk coming in within that confine until towards the middle of December or the first week of December. It's funny how within a week you can see a big shift in populations. Yeah. So we asked that maybe we could look at extending that tag back to the end of December. They had a tag back in the day that was a damage hunt tag, but you had to be within a quarter or half mile of ag land. And that was your boundary. Well, now the boundary is kind of, and we've also asked, let's stretch that boundary out because animals are not completely stupid. You
No.
know, them elk
They
know that
know.
if they can cross that road before daylight or shooting light, that they're going to be safe. It's
Yeah.
just when they get caught on this side of the road.
My
gonna
brother
get
got
harassed.
shot yesterday during a light over there. I'm not going over there.
Right. I don't know if that is even really the answer for that problem either, that tag, because
It's just so small, huh, of an impact?
well, I mean, they shoot a lot of elk, but you know, within 2 to 3 days, they're back into that
Right.
property, creating more damage. And then, if you allow hunting, they're chasing elk onto your neighbors who might not allow hunting, and
Yep.
you're just kind of shifting. I feel that problem to your neighbors.
Yep. 100%.
I'm not fully sold on that. I mean, it's if the management numbers are allowing it, then we can do that. But I don't know if it's effective for that purpose.
Well, I guess I'm kind of amazed that you are able to have you're able to have conversations with ODFW about local things, and they're actually responding to that. I didn't know that happened.
Well, it wasn't me.
Okay.
I mean, I selected a few farmers and a few cattlemen to get together this spring to start conversation. It's been an issue, but most of the time, ODF&W would show up to a meeting and they would just get yelled at. And I did not want to have that kind of conversation. We selected a few individuals that we knew that could sit down at a table and have constructive conversation of how do we do this.
Right.
Because ODF&W, they know, they get the phone calls. They deal with a lot of these issues year-round on these elk issues. They're wanting to help us. They're wanting to help the ag community. So let's get together and figure out ways, you know, that we can and do that.
Yeah.
And then they take that conversation to the commission, who then allows them to make those changes based on management numbers and what we're trying to accomplish.
Right.
I will say that I have built some really good relationships with not just local but regional ODF&W members. You know, I feel like I could pick up the phone right now and call Director Debbie Colbert and have a really good conversation. She would know who I am. Definitely the Chief Deputy, Clements. I've had lunch with him and discussed these issues with him as well, and so it's good. It feels good to be in that place where you could bring people together, come up with solutions, and try and actively make a change and difference.
Well, cool. Well, thank you. And I mean, I guess that's the point is, you know, regardless of why, I've never felt like locally we had much of an influence over what was going to happen, you know, particularly like asking to change a hunt or suggesting a hunt a little bit in order to help the situation. I mean, that's a conversation that I don't know that I've seen those results ever. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, anything else you can think of before we quit?
I don't know. Are we at time yet?
No, we got a little more time yet, but yeah.
Shoot. Let's see. What else have we been working on? Yeah, just involved. Again, I like my position because, and I tell people this, there's so much in these rural Eastern Oregon counties that depend on agriculture and natural resources. Mm-hmm. So to kind of piggyback onto the whole elk and loss of habitat, you know, back in September, we had the opportunity to go back to D.C., and I think we talked about that, about the PILT, payment limit taxes.
Yeah,
SRS dollars, we just got voted on Tuesday. And so they're going to retroactivate that for 24, 25, and we should be able to get that payment through 27, which is that schools safety and resources money that the feds pay to the counties that have timber in them for the loss in sales or timber. That just popped into my head. I just had to make that announcement. We are getting our SRS dollars. That's good.
And,
Road Department
and retrospectively, too.
Yep.
Yeah, so then, good. So that's good news. Do you have any idea what that chunk is over the course of?
I think it was $50 million to the state of Oregon to break up within the counties.
Okay.
I think historically, we were about anywhere between $1 and $1.5 million check to our county, which is great. You know, a big portion of that goes into the road department, so we can help maintain our roads a little better. A little bit will go to the schools, and then a little bit to the sheriff's department. So
Awesome.
so that happens. But in those conversations with like Forest Service, as far as I think we're going to see some. I'm being optimistic. We had that meeting with Chief Schultz in DC. We're aligned in our priorities on the way public land should be managed. I think that restructuring of the Forest Service this spring has put them in a position to work more with local governments on some of the issues and impacts of reducing wildfire and fuels. But I think the big portion of that is relied upon the timber market. There's timber sales out there, but the timber market hasn't been that great, so we're waiting on that. But I think we'll hopefully see the impact of what we're doing now hit 5 to 7 years from now. We'll start to see some better active management of our forests and keep access open. Involved with that Blue Mountain Forest Plan revision, that's along the same lines as working with the Forest Services that takes in the Wallowa-Whitman, the Umatilla, and the Malheur National Forests. And local government has had a big impact of working with the Forest Services, getting priorities and things figured out with the Blue Mountain Forest Plan as far as sustainable harvest, access, and some species conservation. So, like I say, it's great to be in this position in a rural county. If I was in a county like Multnomah, I would not run for commissioner with my mentality. I'm ag focused and natural resources, but it gives me that opportunity out here to work with those departments and agencies and feel like you're making an impact for the community.
Cool.
Sure.
I think and it's not all I do, but it's a big portion of what I do in my role.
Any new news on wolves or movement there, or?
Yes. So at a local state level, we've heard ODFW say, we need them delisted across the state so that we can have consistent management. Currently, they are delisted west or east of 395. So 395, our direction, we're in that delisted zone. Everything on that side of 395 west is not. So we need to have that happen first and foremost. So at the federal level, Boebert out of Colorado and another senator out of Wisconsin put together this, I think it's HB 845 or 9, asking for the delisting of wolves nationwide. It's not just an impact here in the Pacific Northwest. Minnesota has a real wolf issue, as well as North Carolina. I was on a phone call about a month ago, and a representative or a commissioner from North Carolina said that they have an issue with gray wolves and red wolves. The population of wolves in North Carolina was around 1,100, which matches the population of Montana of wolves. But North Carolina being a significantly smaller state and territory. She said it's such a problem now that they are actually crossbreeding and making hybrids. So we just need them delisted at the federal level so that, and it'll turn that management back over to the states. Or ODFW would be able to step in there, have a little more consistent management across the state.
Yeah.
That's HB 845.
845.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said it.
I said it.
Yeah.
You know it was 5 or 9.
I was just clarifying.
Yeah.
845.
So that's what we've got cooking on the wolf deal. But that bill, House bill's been is supposed to be scheduled to be heard in the near future. The delay is from the shutdown. But hopefully we'll get to that point. They can get it voted on and get that passed.
So what do you know about the grizzly bears being introduced? I mean, we hear that every once in a while. Do you know anything about that business and why that is?
Well, I worked on a resolution that I introduced at the county level to oppose the reintroduction of grizzly bears into eastern Oregon. Wildlife at the federal level, they have expanded the relocation territory map that they wanted to do, and they were looking at the North Cascades and northern Washington, that Colville area, as a okay reintroduction area, and then Idaho. All of Idaho now is in that map of where they would like to see grizzly bears population growth. I just thought we would get ahead of it and just let them know that we are opposed in our at the county level. We're going to work our way up a little bit more, something that sticks a little bit. But that is their goal. And so as we know, when these animals with that are endangered, that have that tag of being an endangered species, it don't matter where they are, they can come into Oregon, swim the river and come into Oregon, and those protections come with those animals.
Yeah.
And so I just think that Oregon was not put on that map yet. And talking with ODF&W, they would not like to introduce another apex predator to manage. But it's a possibility. I mean, with them being protected and their population have grown so much through Montana and Wyoming that there's nothing to do but expand their territories out. And pretty soon, that expansion just happens. I got some friends in Montana that, them bears are dang near almost to the North Dakota border. Yeah. That have expanded out from the Rocky Mountain front.
Right. So I guess I didn't quite understand that, and that's a great clarification. And that is that if you have a protective species, and they just naturally expand their territory, then that protection goes with them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting.
They were here at one time.
Yes.
Yeah. They wouldn't be a newcomer.
And there is rumors that
they might be here already.
And they are the apex predator. They're not just an apex predator. They're the apex predator.
When we lived in Montana for that short time, I mean, they had wolves, and they had them attacking livestock, but they weren't worried about the wolves as much as they were about the grizzly bear, and they still are. I mean, they're just more impactful.
Yeah.
They scare me.
Yeah, they're scary. They ain't no joke.
I hunted Montana, and riding up a trail, and
no joke.
You look down and see a footprint that looks like a guy your size wearing a moon boot. Remember the moon boots?
I do.
That's what it looked like. I looked down, and that thing was walking up the trail the same way we were going, and I'm like, fortunately, all my time hunting there, which was only 3 years, I never did see a grizzly bear.
Thankfully.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to from a distance. But they are there, and I mean, people, you just have to hunt and recreate in the woods way differently.
Yeah.
No, and I when I was a young person, I was on a horse, and the horse and we were hunting, and the horse just started quivering and snorting, and there was a bear in the area somewhere. So yeah, it's a weird thing. So, well, Jake, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on, and appreciate it. It sounds like you're doing great. Sounds like you've jumped in with both feet, and that's awesome.
Hope so.
All right. Thanks, man.
Yep, thank you.
All right, want to get us out of
Let's
here?
do it. On this day, December 11th, 1620, Mayflower pilgrims come ashore in Plymouth Bay, traditionally thought to be Plymouth Rock in Massachusetts. 1909 on this day, colored moving pictures are demonstrated at Madison Square Garden in New York City. 2009 on this day, Tiger Woods announces his indefinite leave from professional golf. 2015 on this day, Playboy magazine published its last nude issue. It features Pamela Anderson on the cover. 2019, discovery of the earliest figurative artwork in the world, 43,900 years old, featuring figures part human and part animal from a cave in Indonesia. 2022, NASA's Orion spacecraft returns to Earth after completing the Artemis 1 test flight around the moon in 25.5 days, achieving a record distance traveled by a spacecraft designed to carry humans. On this day, the #1 song in America in 2005 was Run It by Chris Brown. And the quote of the day comes from Maxime Lagacé, I think is how you say the name. If you are truly determined, every obstacle becomes a stepping stone. One more time. If you are truly determined, every obstacle becomes a stepping stone.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Jake.
Yeah, thanks, Jake, for being here. Don't forget, we'll be streaming here just a little bit, Shop with a Cop, and then also the Messiah will be performed Sunday night at 6 o'clock. That will also be on our network.
And if you don't have anything going on this weekend, I forgot to mention it, the Safeway Buckle Classic is at the middle school. That's the girls wrestling tournament, and the Milenberg's at the high school, which is the boys wrestling tournament.
All right. See you guys soon.